Hello, everyone. This is Reed Kastner-lang, host of Dharma Unfiltered, coming in on episode 28 of Dharma Unfiltered from the University of Miami here in South Florida. We have two guests on the podcast today, Stefano Selorio and Ryan Sullivan. Stefano is the CEO and founder of Caravocracy, which aims to teach tech to older adults. And Ryan is a podcaster, DJ, rapper, totally depending on the day. He does it all. So if you guys, in no particular order, want to just kind of give an introduction and background of yourself, and we can go from there.
Stefano, all you.
Awesome. Hey everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm feels like it's a podcast as well of my own. So thank you so much, Reed, for having us here. My name is Stefano. I am the founder and CEO of Caravocracy. As what Reed said, we help older adults. So that means your grandparents if they need to learn how to use a piece of technology. But not only that, I love supporting other student entrepreneurs, getting people into the room, connecting people, networking, and talking about leadership. So I'm happy to be talking about a variety of topics here with Reed and Ryan. So on to you, Ryan.
All right, yeah. So my name is Ryan Sullivan. I also go by SullyBop. It's my rap name. Been a rapper for probably about 5 or 6 years. Been releasing for about 4 or 5. And yeah, I run a company called Podcast Principles. It's full service podcast production from the ground up. Full service meaning all in one place, all your podcast production needs. I've been doing that for 1 year and it's been going pretty well. And other than that, yeah, I'm a DJ. I'm a wedding DJ, but that shut down with the pandemic. But, next month, it's starting that back up again, which is really fulfilling for me. Yeah, man, I can't wait to get back out there. And yeah, I'm a music producer, rapper, like I said, and run a little podcast business. So that's all I got.
So we would not be here today if it weren't for, I guess, Stefano and I both participating in the Venture Bites business plan competition in South Florida. And further, Stefano hitting me up on LinkedIn. Here's the thing, and this is weird because I'm very into networking on LinkedIn, and I'm always the one that's like, especially now that I'm getting into Clubhouse, like I'm literally hitting up all these different people, trying to, even if it's just 30-minute calls here and there, because you never know where a connection could lead. And probably 95% of the time, man, I am the fucking one hitting the people up. And Stefano, I get someone to hit me up, and I'm like, let's go. So, can we just dive into that a little bit and kind of how important and valuable LinkedIn is, and just like, in kind of being the one and not being afraid to be the one to reach out to people, and not just expecting that everyone is gonna reach out to us.
Yeah. Do you want me to answer that first, Ryan? And then
Take
okay.
it, man. Take it.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you asked that question, Reed, because me and Ryan for a while now. It's actually been a year and a half now that we've known each other, I think, or a year or more or two. Uh, and
Over
it's
2 years, actually, we
over
found on that
yeah, over
podcast.
two
Yep.
years. Okay, yeah. So it's actually a similar story.
Yeah, truth,
it's
man.
it's just it's funny. So the reason why I say that, and this is kind of like, it's not necessary. It wasn't LinkedIn. I actually messaged Ryan on Instagram because was listening to his podcast, and I said like I really love like what he was talking about, and I just hit him up. And from then on, it was just like a bunch of events and bunch of conversations on the phone and just getting to know each other, and just like personally, I'm a true believer in connecting with people and just like understanding who they are. I just That's just me personally. For you, example, Reed, we got to know each other because of a local pitch competition. So even though we're like going against each other, um, that didn't stop me from wanting to know like what you do, how you go about your mindset about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And LinkedIn and Instagram and whatever platform you go on to, it's like an opportunity for you to really connect with people. And if you're not afraid, you should really do it. I've connected with like amazing people, student entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders, And it is relieving when somebody comes to and connects with you, even though you're the one that always does it all the time, right? It's nice when you come in and have somebody who admires what you're doing and wants to actually get to know you. The feeling is amazing. So that's my take on that one.
Yeah, that's yeah, you searched the word like millennial, right? Millennial something, right? And so
Yeah.
my original podcast name before it was Bopcast, I didn't even mention that I do run that podcast too. But it was called the Millennial Mind Podcast, and it was kind of just all about just having a millennial mind and like going through the world like that. And I wanted to be on kind of more on brand and like more about other people as well, and I wasn't as focused on that topic, so I switched it. But yeah, you found me, you looked me up, and it's a testament to that, to networking. I mean, I've met almost like, not maybe not world class, but like I've worked with these engineers, producers that like I would never have been able to work with. These people that have been on tour with famous artists who have like literally like do music for a living, whatever, all these things. When I was I was 19 years old or whatever, just hitting
Yeah.
this, DMing people on Instagram and getting opportunities off of it. And now you have LinkedIn, which is like this crazy connection accelerator, where most people are just trying to get genuinely connected to you. So yeah, if we were using LinkedIn back then you would have hit me on LinkedIn, right? Like that. It doesn't matter the platform, but
Exactly.
almost anybody's accessible, which is amazing, which, as long as you try and you care. Like a lot of people, even if they do have a ton of followers or they have a ton of things going on, like most of them check their email a lot, so like if they see you're being consistent, you'll usually find a way in. And that
Yeah.
kind of consistency, you can connect with, interview with anybody you want. So it's
Right.
my
And
opinion.
the thing is, if you're not, I had an interesting conversation with a guy named Chris Forte, and I did a podcast actually earlier today. But he's co-founder of a nutritious bar company called Y Bars, and he's very into kind of the spiritual side of entrepreneurship. But anyway, I had talked about how I kind of miss some of the things from like high school, not the being locked in the school all day, but I miss like the sports and kind of. I said, yeah, I really miss like baseball, and he's like, you know what that is at a deeper level is missing the true
Yeah.
camaraderie. That's what it is, because it's like that's something that you get a ton of in high school, especially if you're involved in clubs or sports, and then you get to college, and it's like, especially during COVID, it's a lot harder, and it's like when you're an entrepreneur, it can sometimes feel like a very, very lonely world if you are kind of like we were the only kids who had a business in high school, and it seemed like we were the only ones in the world to us, in the world to us, that were doing it. But then you start to get on some of these platforms like LinkedIn and Clubhouse, and you realize that you can form a new form of camaraderie in this digital age.
Living anywhere too. Doesn't
Exactly.
have, like, y'all are both in Florida. You guys, I don't know how far you are from each other, but you guys are virtual. Like I'm out here in Jersey. We've been friends for 2 years, man, and we've never met in person. And that's what we said on when I had you on my show too. Like we've never met in person. And you could build better, even stronger connections than the people that you know in person.
Yeah,
It's very possible.
I think what's so great about us in general, like the three of us, we have this like innate like ability to want to connect with people, and it's not necessarily like we just want to use them for temporarily, like getting to their connections and then just using them as a client, and then we're done with them, right? Like we have this genuineness of like wanting to talk to people, like, understand how they got to where they are, and then if it's reciprocated, you have relationships like Ryan and I for this long of talking to each other and just really building on each other. Like I honestly think that's like why we are so good at like always like going back and forth on ideas or our business things. Like I call him to check on what he's doing, and he texts me and thinks about ideas that he's working on. So it's like always a back and forth thing. Um, Now back then in high school or sometimes even in college, to be honest with you, there's like people who are not necessarily in the same mentality of that, and that's okay. That's why you go to these other platforms like Instagram, Spotify, or even LinkedIn, because you want to connect with people with with the mind that is similar to yours, because you know they can challenge you, they can give you stuff to think about. Um, Even like Clubhouse, like it surprises me every day. Like every time I'm on that app, that I get to connect with people who are not necessarily my age, or who are not even necessarily near me, and they're like so like-minded. And I think that's awesome that we have this opportunity. And honestly, it's like for anyone like around our ages, should take advantage of it. You know.
And the world is truly the best teacher, right? Like the world and other people. It's like if we have the ability to ask somebody who has done what we are trying to do, what they did wrong, and learn from it and do it right the first time, why wouldn't we? It seems so obvious, yet so few people take advantage of it. It's like people think it's because we're programmed to think that we have this negative connotation of learning. I think at least I do, and a lot of my friends do, and a lot of the people I know do, that learning innately has to do with like sitting in a classroom, being I have a very bad connotation of high school. Now college has been better. Some of the classes not so much, but college has been better in general. But I think we need to kind of this younger generation and millennials, Gen Z, whatever you want to call it. We need to realize that learning happens all around us, and that learning can happen, in any given situation if you look at it like a learning opportunity and not just like day to day kind of.
Yeah, if I could interject here,
Yeah.
Reed, I'd like to share, and I know Ryan also has like amazing stories of people he connected with. So like for example, for me, the way that I connected with somebody is I got their email, and I got their email because they went to our classroom and like presented in our classroom, and he was talking about how he ran this like supplies company, or like this like office supplies company, and he had like so many toilets and stuff like that, or toilet paper that he had to like sell to like these companies. Do you know what I did the next day? I sent him a meme about toilet paper onto his email, and like that got his attention. First, he didn't reply because he probably thought it was weird. Then I followed up with him and talked with him, and then he really loved my what do you call this, pursuit to like really talk to him. And the next day, he invited me over to his office. This whole thing happened where he talked to me and got to know me. And then on that very same day, he offered me a marketing job. And I was like, what? Like all of this came about because of like an email, a pursuit to connect with this person, even like a unique way by sending a meme about like what he does for work. Like those are the benefits. Those are like the stories you get to experience if you are that kind of person that loves to connect. But I definitely want to hear out like what Ryan has experienced as well when he's connected with people on LinkedIn, because he's talked to so many people in his space.
Yeah, and I would take it. I'll even take it off LinkedIn. I'll just take it even before, like to my friend Beej Links, who is that music producer that I was speaking about before, but didn't mention his name. But he's been a guest on my podcast too. But this guy, like he was in a rap trio, and they went on tours, like they were doing it. That was their life. Like their life was being in this rap and hip hop group. And one of my friends he loved them, right? But they like dismantled. But he was like, yo, Beej, like he's the producer, like he's on Instagram. Why don't you just DM him? Just try it. I DM him. We talk for a little bit. He's like, all right. I tell him, hey, man, can I come into your studio? Can I just get some game? Like, can I pay you for some studio time? Whatever, man. We had never been in a studio before. We had no idea what we were doing. He had us in the studio, right? We recorded 3 songs. He goes, listen, guys, everybody thinks their bars are dope. Like, I think you guys have potential. But he said, come back when you got something real for me. So we were like, okay. So I took, I got a computer. I learned music production, digital production. I recorded, wrote, produced an album. And a little over a year later, I came back to him and he engineered the whole thing for me. And, like that type of thing, man, all I did was hit him up. Now he helped me with my merch. He helped me with my brand. He helped me with so many things. But all I did was hit him with a DM on Instagram. And
Why are
you
so
know,
many people
that's
scared to hit him with the DM?
oh yeah, and like it's not like he's some huge like influence or something, but
Yeah.
like he's not he's busy guy, you know. But yeah, it's you know, and other people too, like you know, people in person. Like I used to do a ton of in person shows for you know, when I used to perform with this group called Mad Minds when we weren't in this pandemic. It was once a month show with a bunch of artists, and you know, there's this one artist I recently had him on my podcast, Samad Savage, and he's one of the biggest artists in Jersey. Like I came up to him and said, "Hey man, really respect your music. I really like what you're doing." I shook his hand and that was it. Followed up with him on Instagram, followed up over text, had him on the podcast, literally showed up, scheduled it, and he showed up. We did it. You know, it's like that was it. Like there's nothing else to add there. It's just like all I did was hit him up. All I did was say I respect him. That's all you got to do. Show respect. And sometimes it takes more consistency with some people because they're busy or they have a lot going on. But man, it doesn't take much. And you can reach out to these people where you don't know. Like people who I had on my podcast 2 years ago are famous on TikTok now, huge on TikTok. People that interviewed me are huge on TikTok, millions and millions of followers. People that I work with, huge on TikTok, who I just DM'd on LinkedIn, who became a client. You know, it's like I could go on and on about it, but it's crazy.
Yeah, you just never know where connections can go. But it's like I think that people that are entrepreneurial are kind of in that kind of going off the beaten path track, you know, are more able to do this. But I think it's harder when you're in high school, or at least when you're kind of at a younger age, because it's something that I've talked a lot about on this show is kind of people being afraid of other people's judgments. And that was something that is a very prevalent in high school, I think, and middle school when for younger kids. But I think even for college kids, if you don't really realize it. And so that's something that I kind of found in high school. Like I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and I watched his videos. I would before school every day when I was eating breakfast. And
Did you know Ryan met him, by the way?
you met Gary V?
Yeah, I have a good story about that too. about yeah, me and Gary V.
Okay. Let me finish my thought, and then you're gonna tell your story about.
Don't worry.
Gary V.
Sure, anytime.
So you know, Gary V's talking about how like content creation is it. It's like the game, you know, and I'm preaching it, but I'm not practicing it. Like I'm preaching it all through junior and senior year, and I'm saying maybe I'm doing it more kind of for catch up, please, but I'm not doing it on behalf of myself, and I'm not building my personal brand. And it's like it was almost subconsciously for me, like I could say that I didn't care what other people thought, but kind of the high school status pressures like subconsciously made me not want to create, because it's like, oh, I would see maybe I'll put a video out there and then I'm going to go to school the next day and see all these kids that I've been. It was just weird. But then as soon as I got to college and nobody knew my name, I'm like, I can fucking make whoever the fuck I want out of myself, you know what I mean? And I just went to work.
Man.
So, did you guys experience that at all, or have you noticed that kind of in other people in terms of content creation?
I know people that hated on me who then said, "Yo, I used to hate on you, but now I understand what you're doing." And that type of thing and that was the kid who a good friend of mine, I'm not sure if he really hated on me, but he just thought a certain way about me. He was just honest. And he's a kid that actually is the reason why I met Gary Vee, but I could go into the story after that, but like at some other point. But yeah, man, I mean, like it's weird but the problem is if you care at all what other people think, then you're not giving yourself the benefit of the doubt. Like you're not letting yourself do the thing because, right? So you owe it to you to not care. Who cares about them? You know, like you're giving them you know, what they say is you're giving the other person power, like you really are, and you actually are doing yourself a disservice. Yes. If you care so much, you got to care about the people around you. You got to care about the people who you love, all those things. But a random person on the internet or something, or some kid you went to high school with, I mean, who cares? You know, like don't do yourself that disservice. But that would be I'm preaching.
Yeah. Ryan's just like hitting the points like right here.
You know it.
No, I, you know what? I'll say this. You know, I remember freshman, sophomore year, I didn't have that little bit of a confidence. I'm talking about high school here now, but later on, you get to this point where you're like, yeah, you just don't care what people say, and they're gonna respect you, admire you, what you're doing. For me, I grew up always being in the spotlight, so like knowing how to navigate, like I was like, you know, I was your typical like SGA student, your student body president, like those kind of things. So like being dishing out content and getting people to do this and do that, like I was always in the scene for that stuff. So like for me, uh I had to always have that mentality because like people were dependent on me to have that mentality. You know what I mean? Like not that I was forced to, or not that I wasn't being genuine about it, but like my roles as I grew up had me doing those things. So that's how kind of like it, I would say, like weaved into like what I'm doing now with curvocracy and stuff like that. So I definitely think that's important, and I'm glad that you were the different kind of person, Reed. Like always looking at Gary Vee. I definitely had some moments that I did watch his videos and stuff like that. But I'll be honest with you, and I don't know if Ryan agrees with me or not, but there's some stuff that I don't necessarily fully agree with Gary Vee. There's just some things that are, I take it, I listen, but it doesn't necessarily mean I apply it. You know what I mean? It's good advice, but it doesn't mean like he knows. And I think he says this too. I think he's being transparent about it too. Like he knows like every advice that he dishes out or every content isn't gonna be like helpful. You know what I mean? So that's how I just look at it. I think that's like another step of like maturity. Once you get to a point where like you follow Gary Vee, but then you like you know that Gary Vee doesn't necessarily live your life, so you're not gonna like follow to the T what Gary Vee tells you. You know.
And you're not just consuming the content, you're not just consuming the content. You're
Yeah.
consuming the content. You're
Exactly.
consuming the way that he produces the content.
Oh yeah.
He's talking about the content, but then like I see him on Snapchat, I see him on TikTok, I see him on YouTube, I see him LinkedIn. Every single platform is something that I probably the most admire from him. Is that kind of just his diversification of channels.
I wouldn't even focus on that though. I would just look at the principles. You know what I mean?
Right, of course.
Like,
If you, yeah,
because he does have a team though. Like let's be serious here. Like
a team. Vayner, I mean, he's got 1,200 people. Like, yeah, he's got a team, yo. I mean,
he's able to distribute all those different platforms. You know what I mean?
But yeah, that's the thing that I realized. The number one, not the number one thing. One of the things that I took away from meeting him is that, dude, this guy doesn't have to.
Can you back
do
up?
this.
Can you back up?
Do you want me to tell it?
Tell the story. Tell the story.
All right. I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story.
Let him know.
All right, so I started watching Gary Vee around when I started watching Joe Rogan, which is probably sophomore, junior year of high school, 2014-ish, so 6 years ago, 7 years ago-ish. And so I was watching Daily V, and he was in this like kind of glass office. It was just a table in there with a chair, and he didn't have this memorabilia on the walls and all that stuff. And I would watch him, and I would do not that I would do nothing, but I wouldn't do that much. Like I was putting out my podcast. I was, putting out a little bit of content here and there, but, I wasn't just kind of blindly following his advice, nor did I really follow it that much. And so I'll fast forward, right? I'm still watching his content, and, 5 years go by or whatever. And my friend, this kid, my friend Derek Fry, he hits me up and he goes, "Hey man, Gary's gonna be at his dad's liquor store next week or in 3 days or whenever it was. Do you want to go with me? Let's go meet him." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Because he was on his wine library text.
Okay.
The text said that we're doing a meet and greet. So we show up like an hour early. We're like scheming, like, where is he gonna be? Where is he gonna go? Because it's a 3-story. I mean, it's a massive wine store if you've ever been there. It's huge, and it really is wine library. I mean, there's a lot of booze in there. And so we were, plotting, scheming, waiting. So we wait. We're like, he's gonna do this right here. We see him walk in with D-Rock. He's right there, right? So he goes in the back. He comes in. We get in line. We're like 60th in line. Go through the entire line, and D-Rock goes, "Hey, sorry, man. You can't ask him a question. You can only take a picture. If you want to ask a question, you got to wait in line again." So I'm like, all right. So I take the picture. I shake his hand. "Thanks. I'll be right back." So I go to the back of the line again. Now I'm 100th in line. Go through the whole line again. I get back to D-Rock. "All right, D-Rock, I'm going to ask him a question. I waited in line twice." He was like, "All right, cool." So I think I got D-Rock's email too. You got to get that little finesse. But so I go to, my friend asks a question first because he's a car detailer, right? He goes, Gary, I want to detail your car. He's like, I don't even have a car. What are you talking about? I don't even have a car. Like he goes on this rant about how he doesn't have a car. It's the funniest perfect Gary Vee moment ever of like, dude, you hit him with the wrong question. So I'm like, in my head, every thought of like, what do I ask him? What do I ask him? What do I ask him? So and like people, you're thinking my heart's like beating. Like this is the guy who I've literally like followed for 6 years. Like he's right here. It's New Jersey, baby. Like, let's go. Like he grew up like 15 minutes away from my house. Like this is the guy, right? And I get to Gary. I shake his hand. I asked him a question. I asked him a question about artists. So about artists coming together and creating art together. And I actually have a song featured on coming out tonight, just to plug that real quick, as artists have to connect, man. We have to build together. And so I asked him a question. It was a layup question for him. Like it was a perfect Gary Vee question, in my opinion. And I just think it was a good question because he had an honest, obvious answer. And it was a valuable answer, I thought. So I ask him a question. We take the picture. Everything's cool. We get a bottle of wine. We come back right where I'm sitting right now. We recorded a podcast, me and my friend, for Bobcast. But so I didn't think anything of it. I posted a thing on Instagram. It gets 8,000 views, no promotion, no advertising. It just gets organically 8,000 views. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. I only have like 1,500 followers.
What was the thing on Instagram?
It was a video. It was the video of me asking him that question.
Do you still have that up?
Yeah, I can send you the link to it. And it's on my Instagram. Yeah, it's on my Instagram. That got more views than anything I ever posted, which was cool. I was like, okay, like makes sense, right? Because my audience also knows how much I like Gary Vee because I was that guy that posted on my story like all these Gary Vee videos. Right. So I'm sitting in class one day about 3 weeks later, and I get this notification and goes, yo, look at this video. On Gary Vee's Instagram, I see an IGTV. It was the question that I asked him.
No way.
That video now has like 650,000 views on his IGTV. And it was the question that I asked him. So a lot of other people in that line didn't get posted. So I felt good. Obviously, I was like, I felt good, right? I thought I asked him a good question. If you go on that video, I can send you the link. I still have it. I replied to every single comment on that video. Gary Vee styled the fuck out of that. And I probably got another 500 followers just from those comments. So that's my whole Gary. And then, so 4 months later after that, I quit my job. And then 5 months later after that, I started Podcast Principles. So.
Yeah.
So that's my Gary Vee story.
I was there on the sidelines just like cheering on as that was happening. You know what I mean, Reed? Like just imagine the journey, like looking at Ryan from like that first meetup and then having that being posted on Gary Vee. That was really exciting, and definitely if you were witnessing it, it would have been so cool for you.
November 2019, man. And yeah, man, you did. You were like, I remember
every post he had of like meeting up with Gary Vee, or when somebody would retweet it, it was like, oh my gosh, right? Oh my gosh,
Ryan. And it was crazy because people would like send it to me and be like a month later, like, yo, this is you. So, and my people, like I would go, I think I remember going to the bar like a few days later, and people were just, my friends were just like, congrats, because they knew how much it meant to me. And after that, since then, dude, I don't watch any Gary Vee videos really at all anymore.
None? I thought he would, especially being from Jersey, I feel like, is he like a big role model for like does he have a pretty big following in Jersey and kind of around you?
More maybe more than other places. I don't know how many people even know he's from there. That's the thing. For me, I've been watching since the beginning. Like I watched the yard sale videos too. Like I might be in a yard sale like in some Central Jersey town, and Gary Vee might be the yard selling right there. Like that's the type of stuff that could happen. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people that I know do follow him, and a lot of people I've watched over these last years of people, all of my friends following him and starting to like and follow his content. So not everybody, but lots of people hopping on that bandwagon once he got popular.
Yeah, I would probably say the same for me. Like I don't watch him that much anymore. For me, it was the exact same for me. Like starting like junior year, like it was like
once you get it, you get it. Once you realize what he's talking about, there's nothing else you can get. Like, all right,
it's kind of
NFTs. All right,
addictive
let's
for a
learn
long.
what Gary let's hear his opinion on NFTs. Like that's cool, whatever. But like you're not getting any more game now. Just start your business. Like
I
just
think
do your thing, you know.
I think you get to a point, Reed, where it's like you're independent now. You know,
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
of you're like you were dependent because you weren't sure about yourself, and you look onto these like leaders or inspiration for that stuff. But like I don't know if you could exactly remember the day where you're like you just transcended from like being dependent on their content to now like wait a minute, I am that person now. You know what I
I
mean?
make the content.
Exactly. Like I am making those conversations. Like it is not where I have to go and wait in line twice. No, like I am the one that makes those lines now, right? Like I'm the one that will be able to create those events so that if there are more lines, right? So like I'm just saying like I feel like I feel like you come to a point where it's like, and I say this to my friends, uh, I come to a point where I'm like, whenever I am in another job or if I leave another job, like I feel so confident because of the network that
hmm,
I've built and the people that I've made relationship with that I am not in fear of like not finding a job, you know? And that's just like another conversation as well, but just that maturity level of like
Mm.
just moving away from you were just so reliant on this content, this person, but now it's you. It's now it's like dependent on you. It's not like
You can only
dependent on
guess so
Gary
much
V.
game. You can, yeah, straight up. You can only just truth, and your network, yeah, really is like the cliche. Your network is your net worth. No,
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
not.
it's
It's not at all.
it's not
But
cliche.
it does. It can. It's an opportunity. It's opportunities. That's what it is. And just so when you're
Yes.
sitting there watching Gary Vee videos and you have nothing to put online or nothing to promote, like your mind doesn't have anything to be like to grasp onto it.
Yeah.
You're like waiting to become the person, and
he's
then there's a
there.
time when you become
He's
it, you know.
there with the match, and he's just lighting the fire for people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
straight up.
Exactly.
Or he's making people create terrible clothing brands, but that's a whole nother.
I think I wouldn't. I think he's doing a lot more good than bad.
No,
Yeah, no,
100%
no.
no. You want to say a Gary Vee term net positive? Yes, it's 100% net
I
positive.
hey, again, he is doing what he is really good at, right?
Truth.
Literally us having a conversation about him.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh yeah.
it's not even like a question of that, right? So if you don't mind, Reed, we'd love to talk about outside of Gary Vee.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
I don't know. I was just kidding there. I'm just
No, man. Hey, you asked for the story. I wasn't even gonna tell it, but you asked.
But
So
Stefano, like you said, kind of, it gets to a point where you become independent. Now, yes, I agree with this to an extent. In certain areas, I feel like it's important that we continue to learn from other people. Like there's certain people that I can watch their content forever. I can
Mm.
me personally, I can watch Joe Rogan like forever
I've
because
been doing it forever, man.
yeah, and it's because like his content is just so like he can have a conversation with Mike Tyson one day and then an ex like astronaut the next, and it's just like you can. I like to not always be consuming just entrepreneurship stuff. Like I like to be talking about
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's like, um, yeah, Gary Vee, and I'm not gonna hate on him because of kind of what he's done for me personally, but I do think that sometimes his content can be kind of
But
repetitive.
here's the thing,
It
Reed.
is, yeah.
I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about the Ryan that I will know or whatever. We're talking about like people who also like have been consuming his content but never taking action from it,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Like like that's amazing. Like you get to do that, Reed, and you are making your own podcast and you're making a name for yourself and whatever you're doing. And same thing with Ryan. But like we're that's what I'm saying, like going back to it, it's like we're mature enough to a point where we don't need to so much rely on that stuff, where now it's on our own to be able to make these things and content and stuff like that, and we can definitely still go back. And I agree with you. I don't think Gary Vee is a bad person, but definitely once when you get used to it so for such a long time,
Mhm.
it's like it's time to like move on and like get into the deeper stuff that's more specific to what is your situation.
I
Like
love.
that's what I want to get out of Gary Vee. Like, I don't like Gary Vee doesn't know what I'm doing in my space industry, but I would love to learn in general terms of like what I should do, but
Mhm.
it's not gonna help me out in the long run because he's not in my shoes. Neither am I in his. So it's just those are just things I would look out for.
Yes, definitely. All right. Shifting gears a little bit. An interesting question that I came up with, I think, is for both of you. What is an ideal, in your mind, an ideal one Sunday night and an ideal Friday night? What are ideal Sunday and Friday nights for both of you? An ideal meaning when you feel when you just feel the best. Like when you just feel like your truest version of yourself. Like what are you doing on a Sunday or a Friday night and a Friday night?
If you, I could go first if you want. I could probably rip it first. Yeah, man. My life is different now than it was. So I used to. I kind of do a little freestyling life sometimes. I kind of like do what I want, but I have a girlfriend now, and I never did. Like in my entire life, like I had
By
one.
the way, I
So
think it's a year and a half now, right?
it's a year. It's
It's a
exact,
year.
almost exact a year last week. But so now my life's different. We live 2.5 hours away from each other, so that's taking up a lot of my, a lot of both of our lives. Trying, seeing each other, hang out with each other, and driving. A lot. My Friday nights are sometimes I'm done with work at 5 and I drive 2.5 hours, and then I mean, what am I gonna do after that? Like I'm gonna be probably asleep by 11. So, but ideally, like if I were to design it, um, or let's say I was to design it in with the means that I have now, right? Not some like glorious life that I want later. Like right now, it would be stopping everything at like 5 or 6. Like just and like no more work and just actually enjoy that night and with my girlfriend and have a bottle of wine and make some dinner and like just enjoy it, man. Like that Friday night, like I'm not really a going out person, so I like to probably be in a little bit more. I'm down to go out, have some drinks, whatever, but like that type of thing, like just sit down and enjoy our company. And she has a ton going on too, so just for us to disconnect is really important. And then if I would take it to Saturday or Sunday night, Sunday mornings I like to do work. I like to work and get kind of my stuff going for the week. But as far as Sunday night, like I just like to work out, like have a workout, watch a podcast, man. Like I used to be much more of like, yo, you gotta go, go, go all the time. And that's not, I don't really do that as much. Like if I have to, sure I will. Like most of my time I'm working till 10, 11 o'clock at night on the weekdays. So recently my shift, I'm always doing something, right? Like on a Saturday, I can't really like sit during the day on a Saturday and do nothing. Like I got to go somewhere. I got to work on my car. I got to do something, but it might not be like my work, my dedicated work, my podcast work, right? It'll be some kind of other work that is fulfilling to me, like working on cars, a passion, working out, probably another passion that I love, been doing for a long time. Those type of things they take effort, but they're not my main day-to-day work. So on the weekend, that's what I like to do.
Okay. Gotcha. Stefano?
Yeah. So, by the way, Ryan, though he was gonna ask you like also what you said, the ideal self or ideal day or something like that. You remember that last question after the Friday and Sunday?
Oh, no, I was just saying kind of what how would you feel your truest self on a Friday night?
Like you're okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I hear that. Okay, typically on Fridays, and if you probably know me, and this is Ryan, and you too. I think I schedule like all my meetings and days on that Friday, like only on Fridays, right? Because like Monday to Thursday, I'm really trying to like do stuff, focused on stuff, to Kervaxi wise. So on Fridays, like the ideal Friday is I'm just like meeting people. There's not a lot of work to really be doing. I'm like prepping stuff for like the next day. I mean the next week. Um, it's a lot of like follow-up conversations, to be honest with you. So like Friday isn't necessarily like my heavy workload day, and I did that intentionally. It's just because it's like, Monday, I try to really make Monday, Thursday like really focus on that stuff. Lately it hasn't been like that, to be honest with you, but like I really want to just make that as my focus, because it's like, those things you hear about, like those 4-day work weeks or something like that. Like I'm trying to test that out, trying to be like focused on those 4 days, and then the Friday is just solely like people. On Sundays, I actually wrote about this on LinkedIn, because I'm always on LinkedIn every single day except for Sundays, and I don't try to not to post stuff on Sundays, because it's like I'm trying to just write down some ideas in my journal and just trying to like relax, and then on the next day I'm still also like prepping stuff, I guess you would say, because like what I like to do is like look at my schedule and stuff like that for the week coming up. But like that's my ideal weekend. I'm just like Ryan too. I'm not necessarily a person that goes out, especially like right now too, to be honest with you. I just found out from my dad actually that I've been in the house since March 12th. Like I have not driven anywhere. So like it's been like I've been in my house for like a very long time. Like I mean for a while now, honestly, but like for 12 days straight, I've not gone anywhere, which is crazy. So I'm doing stuff in the house and working on myself. That's like I feel like my ideal self, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like to not feel like chasing after something,
Like
that's
being
my
pulled anywhere. You feel like you don't
yeah
want to feel
like
like you're being pulled.
yeah like because again, as I told you in the beginning, like I'm always in the spotlight. I have like speaking events, and I have these things like planned up in the coming months or so, right? So it's like I try not to be like being asked to do something, like that's the ideal self, right? Like right now, because I do so much for like all these other events and stuff like that. I just try not to get pulled by like another Stefano, like can you comment on this, Stefano, can you like make a video about us, like Stefano, like that. I don't want that when it comes to like the weekend or anything like that.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I guess the main reason I ask is because I said to a friend of mine today, I said, it's I'm so involved and so engaged in my day to day like weekday stuff that it's to the point where I like the other days of the week more than Fridays. Like in high school, it's the complete opposite. In high school, it was like as soon as we get out of school, it's like we're going to each other's houses and we're doing stuff on Friday nights and Saturday nights too, and we're trying to maximize kind of the time with our friends and stuff outside of the school setting. Um, but now it's not like that. Now it's like for me, it's like I in class at like 2 o'clock on Fridays. And it's like it's kind of awkward. It's like weird. It's like I don't necessarily have that much stuff going on, and I guess the going out thing is different now, both because of COVID and because you can't really go out in Miami without spending hundreds of dollars. But it's kind of weird. And my roommate is somebody that is pretty much not always working, but works a lot. And it's something that kind of last semester I was like, fuck, I could never do that. But now it's something that I'm starting to admire. He loves what he's doing so much that he's fine with doing that over anything else on a Friday night. And I've spent some of my Friday nights. Usually I'll go out and do stuff with some friends here, but I've spent some of my Friday nights sitting in the dorm working. And there's something pretty empowering about working on a Friday night when everyone else is out at the clubs partying. There's something empowering. Not to say that
Is that what you're telling yourself, Reed? I'm kidding.
no, I'm just observing. I'm not saying that.
I'm like, yeah, this is so empowering, even though I'm having nothing, like, no social life. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I feel that too.
Well, it's come from the guy who hasn't gone anywhere in 12 days. I mean, can't
Yeah.
say shit to him. But man, like I forgot to mention like music, man. The weekends were the only time I could do music, which was awesome because Friday nights, like in college, Friday nights in college was music, man, and Saturdays was music because I would DJ. So I would DJ on the weekends, Friday and Saturday night, So then during the days, or if I had a random Friday or Saturday off, then I'd be making music, and I would just be watching stories, right, of people going out, and I'm sitting there like making a beat or recording some song. Like, yeah, it does feel good though, man. It does.
Yeah, yeah, it feels good, but at the same, I think I have a, I have some excellent, great core friends, like just a few, no more than 5 or 6 back home in Wisconsin, but it's like I don't have that even near that same caliber of friends here. So it's like I my lifestyle is drastically different when I'm back home than when I'm in college, because it's like I look at college as like, if I'm gonna grind, now is the time. And when I'm home, it's like, if where is my time being best maximized? And it's like a lot of the time, if my friends are there, you know, I'm gonna hang out with my friends, because it's like, and that's the beautiful thing about going to college out of state, is that you can you minimize distractions if you kind of allow it to minimize distractions and not maximize. Um, so, so yeah, I mean, things always change, and the ideal Friday, Sunday night, is always changing. Um, Kind of moving into something else. What are some ways that you guys are able to stay disciplined, motivated, and sharp and mentally sharp, um, like always? And obviously, there's ups and downs, but generally,
Ooh, I like this one.
Ryan.
He likes it so much that he's gonna go first.
I like it. All right. How to stay sharp, discipline. So, time management, morning routine. Okay. Stick to your morning routine. That sets the tone for the day. Make your bed, some type of marine shit, whatever video that was, that works. The little things, that works. If you make the bed, you meditate, whatever. You don't have to meditate, but like if you do 1, 2, and 3 in the morning, you get boom, 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 done. These 3 things, your day, you're gonna want to keep getting things done for that day, right? So that's one. Um, on a health wise, work out. The body has to work out. The body's meant to move. I don't care if you're lifting or you're running or you're walking or you're arm wrestling. I mean, it doesn't matter. I just feel like you got to do it. You don't have to do it every day, but it has to be done. And then because your body needs a lot too, because your body is your mind. They're together. And be healthy. Take your vitamins. Eat whatever meal plan you got. Stick to it. I don't care if you're doing 3 meals a day or 1 or 6. Like, I feel like just stick to it. That's what I do. And like, I don't know. I've tested so many things. I've tested cold showers every day. I've tested meditation every day for 30-minute meditations. I've done 10-minute meditations. I've done hour meditations. I've done workout at 6:30 in the morning every single day, 5 days a week. I've done, do it 4 days a week and 5 and at night, or, like I've tested all the things. So I know what works for me, but like general guidelines, like find what works for you, stick to a routine. And then if the routine doesn't work, don't just drop the routine. Like just try something else, that would be my advice. I love what I call it is life design. It sounds a little like, like a little fluffy, but that's what I like to call it. But yeah, I'm about that.
Definitely, definitely, yeah. And just quick before Stefano, the guy that I had, Chris, earlier, he calls it spiritual fitness. So it's basically all in the same realm. Like it's basically, and the way that I look at it is like, figure out a way to make the average or the monotonous or just like the kind of the normal, figure out a way to make that just extraordinary. Make the ordinary extraordinary every single day. Like even if it's something as small as making your bed. Stefano?
How I stay disciplined is literally what I just said earlier, which was the Calendly stuff. Like that is what gets me really on the thing. My life is very dependent on the calendar. My family, I live with my family, so we coordinate a lot of stuff that's going on, whether my parents are working, whether my siblings have school, whether we have to take care of my grandma. So like everything is on the calendar, like making events, reminders, all these things, it has to be on the calendar. That's why I was like bothering you earlier, Reed. I was like, Reed, send us a calendar invite. Send
Yeah,
us
I
a
was looking
thing.
for that invite, man. I'm a calendar guy too, so I
I
was
was
like,
like, I
"Where's
know
the
Ryan's a
invite?"
calendar invite too. So I was like, dude, this is not gonna go well
Google
if you don't.
Calendar is the shit, man.
He's using Apple's calendar, by the way, Ryan. That's
I
probably
use
why.
both. I use both. Hey, why not have every calendar?
I'm telling you, Reed, that is the key. The key. But no, that's what I was telling you.
Every day,
I
man.
I have my thing too. Like, look
Yeah.
at that, journal buddies.
Thursday, baby. Let's
I
go.
think that's
Yes,
the same
sir.
journal I have, Ryan. Is it?
Walmart maybe.
No, not probably.
Uh,
Who cares?
ooh, ShopRite. I'm gonna. It could be ShopRite.
Anyways, it looks
You
the
guys
same.
don't have those. Sorry.
But yeah, no, I was saying like calendars is like the thing that keeps me putting like you know what I mean. Like I probably have like around 5 calendars because I have like the family one, personal one, school one, work one, and then plus also like scheduled events. Like there's just multiple like layers that I have to do. So that's how I stay disciplined. Honestly, I don't have like a routine like Ryan does, which is like awesome, which I admire about what he does, and especially I don't know if he posts this often, but I'm not really on Instagram that more. But like he would always post story on his stories about like this testimonial, not testimonial, but like meditation thing, right? Like that he would go through a book and just like read through it. And I always admired that because it's like he always put it on the story and just like not only for him, right? That like that was great content and all that stuff, but it's like it's for like other people like myself and the outside world like, "Oh, look, Ryan is sticking to something that he's like trying to stay disciplined with." Um One thing for what I'm trying to do is like every time I have a business idea or like when I meet somebody new, I rely on this like journal, this thing that doesn't show up, this journal. You know what I mean? Like that's what I use to stay disciplined. And I say no to a lot of people that want to like meet up. Like as I told you, I separate my work days from Friday. So like except for like clients or important people, you would say. But like there would be people in my past that want to like hang out or catch up, and I'm like, "Are you free on Fridays?" Because I make them like wait, and if they're like serious enough to want to talk to me, they will schedule that time, and they will be patient and respectful that Fridays are like my real only days. So like staying disciplined to that, even though it's very tempting to like want to talk to friends and catch up and play video games and all these other things, like I can't do that because if I don't have time to do work that I need to do because I have all these other obligations. So like that's what's keeping me um, disciplined. I would honestly say though, like Clubhouse is my kryptonite right now because it's like I'm on
I
the
see you
app.
on that I get
I'm on
notifications.
there.
No.
Honestly,
Well, I made a rule. Yo, do this rule. 9 to 5, no clubhouse. 9 to 5, no clubhouse. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, no clubhouse. After
No,
that,
no, no.
you
I'm
do clubhouse.
doing that. I'm trying to stay disciplined because here's the thing though, Reed. You know what's so crazy? This is off topic here, but like I am trying to stay disciplined though with the Clubhouse thing, but like do you know what's so cool? It's like it's such a new app that all the biggest names and players that you like know will get on there and have like 10, 5 followers, right?
So funny.
yeah.
But like you, Reed, have like 20 or me 100 or something like that. And so I come into every room with this cloud of Clubhouse, right? And yeah, even though they're like the person I study and research and they're like the CEO or whatever of this, they can't match what I have because I've been in that map for such a long time. So like building a community around like your voice is so important for me in that app right now.
Mm.
I had like a room where I came in there, I told them about what I do and I'm a founder and stuff like that. Instantly they made me almost like a guest speaker on that panel, even though I was like I just came in to talk about like what I was doing and stuff like that. And what I didn't realize was that in the audience under Clubhouse were a bunch of vendors for like senior living centers, companies and CEOs, all these people listening to me. Like again, I'm from like Hollywood, Florida, I'm in this other region, but like they heard my voice and they knew because I spoke up, and that's why I was like encouraging you, Reed, the other night. I was like, Reed, talk to those people that are in like CPG brands or something, right? Like, dude, they just literally joined Clubhouse this like yesterday. So like you, on the other hand, could come in there and like literally build their profile, help them out in a way that you never could think of. So that's
Yeah.
just me. But I just went into a rant, so sorry about that, guy.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, and it's almost like when weighing opportunity costs. I don't like weighing opportunity costs too. I don't like thinking about it too much,
It's
but
hard. Yeah.
It is. It
and you
is.
shouldn't stress over it either. Like
Sometimes you just don't even like have to care.
Well, no. The thing is, you also don't know. In the moment, you'll never be able to weigh what it really is, right?
Yeah.
well, hindsight's
So
20. It's like
you know it.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's like some, especially also depending on the stage of the kind of business you're in or whatever you're trying to do, like, or even how your day's going. Like today, for example, I was giving blood, ended up taking like an hour, and I just went on Clubhouse and I'm listening to like this founder of it's like I forget, Skinny Dip. Yeah, it's basically chocolate covered almond company. And they have like 70,000 followers on Instagram, and they're nationwide.
Oh man.
Stores.
Mm-hmm.
And like I like because I was messaging the person who was running the room on LinkedIn last night, and she invited me up on stage to be a speaker. And literally this happened today, and it's like I was able to ask my questions to the founder, and it's like we would never have access to these people.
No.
We can talk about how we might be able to LinkedIn message them, but Clubhouse is literally the most direct way to get in touch with these big minds.
I'm sorry. If I could just like jump in here because I'm telling you, Reed, if you play it very right, and Ryan knows this too, like you could honestly help a lot of those brands or those big names to get on Clubhouse. Like I know that's like another like avenue. You don't necessarily have to do that, but if you do it organically, like they could almost rely on to you, and that's how you get your foot in the door. Like I just want to say like that's a really big opportunity for anyone who's still like doubting about like what Clubhouse is. What I do discourage though is like you're not in it to just like sell your stuff, but like you're there to like help them build their own community. So
Sell your course. That's the place to sell your course.
NFTs, dude. Let's talk about it.
Okay, I will say there are a lot of bullshitters on Clubhouse.
Oh, it's the best, man. I hate when they take people. It's the best, meaning it's the worst. But I hate when they have people who are so genuine and they're going to go and just sell them. It's just like, man, you don't realize these people. Yeah, I can't go off on that. I'll keep going.
So going back to
great app.
okay, yeah, great. Clubhouse is great. We know. So
it is though.
Purposeful work, and it's much easier to stay disciplined on something when you're actually passionate about it. And obviously, it seems like all three of us are kind of a step ahead of the game, and even being able to be talking about discipline and staying motivated and stuff is because we've all kind of found at least some of the things that we're passionate about. I just kind of wanted to dive into that, and because I think that's what a lot of this podcast revolves around, and kind of people, how people can find their purpose, and the purpose is always changing. Purpose is constantly evolving and growing, but if you can have a general idea of what life means to you and what the biggest things or the most important things to you are in life, you can live life a lot more effectively. And so up until basically 4 months ago, literally, those over 18 years of my life, I had no idea. I had no clue what path I wanted to go. I had no clue what I was really, really intrinsically passionate about. So I just wanted to kind of dive into that, and how you guys were able to kind of find your passions, and how those passions may kind of evolve and grow in the future.
You want to take it?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was just like, people are shouting in my house. I'm like, no, right, I don't want to take it.
No, it's all good. I'll take it.
You're good. You're good. That's a really great question, Reed. I
Mm,
appreciate that question. It's something that when you're growing up, you don't necessarily think about, but over time, it's like yeah, that is very important because the reason why I think that's important to understand your passion and your drive for certain things and what keeps you going is because then it will shape like the roles or the things that you pursue. And I say that too because a lot of our classmates, my classmates, unfortunately don't understand like what their passion or their purpose is yet. So then they take on these like roles and internships and all these other opportunities and they still don't know what they're doing. So I think that's important to even figure out like what your passion or your the thing that you is your purpose. For me, I'm very blessed to have my purpose aligned with my faith. So like that's a lot of like reasons why I am who I am. If it weren't for my parents, for living in a kind of like a Christian household, right? And it doesn't mean we're perfect. I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. But like that's what really aligned me for what I do. Um, I look at every person as someone I want to help, even though if they hurt me at the end of it, I still forgive them in a sense. But like that's just who I am. I'm fairly optimistic and realistic at the same time. So like, you know, what drives me the most is like seeing the potential that someone has and then like helping them out with it, like really taking them from this point in their life where they didn't believe in themselves and then like really get them going. I love seeing that. I do that in many ways and many forms. So whether it be having conversations with you, Reed, or Ryan, or even like high school students that I mentor, those are like things that fulfill my purpose. Or even conversations with like the senior citizens that I work with, right? Like making them realize like they're just not old. They could do so much with computers and technology and stuff like that. So that weaves into why I love what I'm doing. Um, and so, just to give you like again a recap of what I'm just saying, I like serving. That's who I am. I feel like that's my purpose. That's what my passion is. So regardless of where I end up being, whether this startup or another startup, I want a position where I can actually serve people. The word that's my favorite word, honestly, Reed, is altruism, which is really self-serving others, if that makes sense. Yeah, but like putting yourself before others and making sure you're uplifting them. Now, the challenge for me personally is to not feel like I am not like getting the credit where I'm like just degrading myself to a point. That's the balance I have to make sure like I'm also like gaining something from serving other people too. And so that's my reason and answer for that question. But I really love that question, Reed.
true. Such a great question. And it's funny because you're getting the opposite, kind of somewhat of an opposite experience from me, because I rejected my faith when I was in second grade. I was brought up Christian too, and Catholic, and I rejected it. But my parents said okay, they weren't thrilled with it, but they let me reject it, which I think was great. And for me, like that's just on the faith conversation. But I think a lot of my life I've been doing things untraditionally, and not because I knew they were untraditional, but because I didn't really know. I didn't know and see it any other way. I just think, hey, let me try this. Let's see what happens. So everything that I've done has been an opportunity. Like every time I tried a new thing, like I learned a little bit more. So like that's the one thing that I'm super bullish on, and I'm super like pushing on every podcast that I'm on now, is just to try new things. Because like you said, like we talked about, like you both spoke about, it's like people don't really know their purpose. Like it's hard, they don't know. And the problem is they just haven't tried enough things. That's really the true. It's not that they're not trying, they're trying to find it, but they don't even know how to find it. So like when you talk about passion, you talk about purpose, like my first job was working at a gas station. Like in New Jersey, we pump the attendant pumps your gas for you. And that was my job. And so my first job was like literally talking to 200 to 300 random people a day. And so that job gave me this weird, like perspective of like, obviously other people can work at a gas station and not get this perspective. This is just mine, but I get to see people at the beginning of their day, at the end of their day, on a Monday, on a Friday, on a Sunday, and get some people would talk to me and some people would not. Some people would be assholes. Some people would be so nice. Right. And I just realized from that, as well as a lot of other things in my life, that, you know, I was a communicator. I was a connector. I would always want to learn a little bit more about somebody. And people would just tell me stuff about them. And I didn't even know them or like really even ask. So once you get good at asking, then the world opens up to you, right? Then you can ask anything. You can get to anything. But anyway, you know, yeah, my summarization would be, you know, try new things. How to find your purpose, I don't really know. Like, my only advice is try new things. You get to choose what you're passionate about. You actually get to choose your purpose too. So, you know, it's not like something just comes to you. You still got to do the work, right? And for me, I separate the spark from the goal from the target. So your spark is that thing where you go like, oh my God, like I love doing this, because you have that moment of I love doing this. The goal is all the things you want to do to get to the target. So I want to stay calm. I want to stay disciplined. I want to stay on point. I want my health to be on point, right? All these things, those are all goals. And then the target is the thing you really want to get to later. So those kind of putting it like that, it makes it easier in my mind to kind of define what the purpose and the passion, because you can kind of lay it all out. But that's just how I do it. But
And there really is no target, right? Or is there?
it's arbitrary. It's arbitrary, yeah, because you don't know where you're gonna go. I think it's still good to have it. Like I will tell you, like, if you ask me where's Podcast Principles gonna go, I'll tell you, yeah, we're gonna grow this much. I'm gonna open a physical location, which is gonna be a studio, which is a collective place for people to record. But
that answer is more of a qualitative thing than a quantitative thing.
well, it's a real thing. Like, it's just a target. Yeah, like the target is that, but I don't know if that's gonna be it. It might be. I might start selling roses, man. Like, I might start a flower shop. I don't know, but you know, yeah. But I think it's still good to have that. Even have the quantitative thing. I don't think that's too bad either. You know, just have the thing. Yeah.
You can say that you don't watch Gary Vee anymore, but you got a lot of Gary Vee.
6 years. I don't watch him anymore, but 6 years, man. It's ingrained in me now.
I know.
Well, imagine Gary Vee and Joe Rogan for the last 7 years. You got to know. And then watch my podcast.
I'm in the exact same boat, man.
Yeah, exactly. So then you can't not think like this, man.
Try new things, but it's also important, just like, you got to be present. You got to be present. Like,
Truth.
Every moment counts. Every single moment.
You got to be in control of your emotions. That's being present. That's being in control of your emotions.
I do want to say though, like, I think like our conversation right here demonstrates like our passion to share ideas and like also like help people out in that case though. Like, the fact that we decided to come together and talk about these topics, like, this is what I personally love doing. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of like a fulfillment of like why I'm also here too. Like, because we get to talk about these ideas, we get to talk about like the things that we share and our experiences, and hopefully too, and we don't know this, like, it might, you know, inspire somebody down the road in this episode or something like that. And to me, like, that's also something like I guess like a result of our passion and purpose of talking about all these things. So I just wanted to add that part too. It's just like talking about the present, because I mean, like, the fact that we took out time of our days to talk about this, like, shows a little bit of like of who we are and why we do things, you know.
Right. And it's honestly kind of the beautiful thing about me having only 56 subscribers. That this conversation is just as much.
Dude, the number doesn't.
But I don't even show my subscribers anymore on the
No, read. Well, this isn't a thing. We can have a conversation later. But like, I was gonna say, like, if you got 50, that's great.
Yeah.
That's honestly like better than my podcast. Like, if you want to compare like that way. But like, I got some ideas for you how to grow that if you really want to. But I'm just saying, like, 50 is great, dude. By the way.
I'm just saying, like this, the whole podcast kind of started out of my love for just these conversations. Like, I didn't even have I did all the Catch Up Please work on my iPhone all through high school. I had some shitty little like ThinkPad that I used all through high school that was issued from the school, and then I got a MacBook Air. I got a Mac for college, and I'm like, holy shit, I can talk to anyone I want over these Zoom calls. And I just started having these Zoom calls, and that's where this podcast was like born out of, and that's where it will always be. You know, it's not necessarily only about benefiting other people. Like, I'm altruistic also, but at the same time, like these conversations are invaluable for us three. Like, we could be not recording this right now and still be having this conversation. The only thing
Is it recorded? I'm kidding. I'm
this
just joking you there.
recording. The only thing recording does is it like we otherwise normally wouldn't have like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, yeah, it's about, again, I always ask people kind of what do they want to be known for when they die? What's their purpose? I'm asking all these big questions, and I don't even know what the answer is. I mean, the answer is nobody really knows what the fuck is going on with any of this, and we're trying our best to figure out what we do know and go all in.
I'm trying to keep the car on the road, man, but it's hard, you know? It's like,
right.
It doesn't matter how things seem. It's how things seem versus how things are. It's so much different a lot of times, man, especially, you know, in this world. But what you can do is this, which is, yeah. And we all have that collective passion around this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ryan, this is something that you and I talked about on our call, but this is legacy. Like, this is forever. Like, these words that we're speaking right now are being recorded and are forever. You know what I mean? And that's the other beautiful
truth,
thing.
man. Like the story of my friend, like we talked about, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Truth.
So, yeah, I love it. I think that podcasting, like you always say, Ryan, is like, this is the best. Long form content is the most valuable because you get to these places. Like, we would have never gotten to even having this specific topic of conversation if we hadn't had this conversation. So that's something I love about it. Are there any other things that you guys kind of wanted to dive into before we end the call here?
I don't have any particular because I feel like this is not going to be our last episode. Hint, hint. You know, I'm sure along the way we're gonna have more conversations. I think we enjoy the fact that we are so comfortable and that we have some kind of like-mindedness, and we don't agree with everything. That's amazing, right? But the fact that we enjoy having these conversations, just shows that we're not gonna end here. So I don't have anything particular to continue, and it is fairly getting late, right? But yeah, I don't have anything particular to add into this topic except for really excited to listen to this and just really have more conversations.
Yeah, all I would say is thanks for having us. Thanks for putting this together. You got a really cool podcast going on, man, and you're just doing your full, like, my thoughts on the Zoom thing were like, I'm so sick of Zoom. I do it every day. I have all these meetings.
He tells me that all the time.
You know, yeah, and then Reed's out here just like, dude, this is the best thing ever. It's like, you know,
It
so
gives
it's
you
like
perspective.
it gives
right?
you perspective, man. And like at the same time, I was on Zoom for 2 years before the pandemic. I worked remotely for 2 years before that, so that I was kind of painted a different picture. But yeah, man, really just stoked that you're doing this. You know, this is powerful, and
Yeah.
keep it going, man. Thanks for doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on, and yeah, I'd love to have you on again. I'm looking to, you know, always do more content, and you know, we can dive into some new topics. We can go. The thing that I love about these, you know, this group of us three is that I just started talking to you guys like 3 weeks ago, and we're already having this long, you know, hour and a half conversation. So yeah, no, let's definitely kind of keep the conversation going. We even if we just start like a little text group chat and just kind of, you know,
Or clubhouse room. Sorry, that's just me.
Yeah, well, it's good. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, let's keep the conversation going, and let's do another podcast soon.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, cool guys. Well, have a great night, and I'll shoot this over.
Wait, Reed. You
Am I
gotta do the podcast etiquette.
I
This
know.
is You gotta give us some time to put in the plug.
You have to do the you have to do the plug, and you also have to do the
Oh,
fake.
shit.
You have to do the plug and the fake ending, dude. The fake ending of thanks, guys, really appreciate it. And then the fake ending. Hey, actually,
Oh,
don't
like-
leave though.
Okay.
Sorry, we're just so used
no,
to
no,
it.
but it's true. I know. I always forget. So you guys do the plug yourself, or do I say, okay, if you want to like follow whatever?
Don't worry. We can do the plug. Do
Okay.
you want me to go first, Ryan? Is that okay?
Yeah, dude, go. You
Okay,
do it.
well, thank you so much, Reed, for having us here. I really appreciate it. The best way to connect with me right now is actually on LinkedIn. If you look up Stefano Selorio, that's Stefano with an F. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn, but definitely I am also now on Clubhouse, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow what I'm doing about Carvocacy, that's carvocacy.com as well. So I appreciate this, and thank you so much.
So yeah, you can look me up anywhere. Ryan, if you type in Ryan Sullivan, probably won't find me. There's a ton of them. There's millions. There's actually millions, I think. That's Ryan with a Y. You know. So Ryan R Sullivan on LinkedIn and SullyBop everywhere else. Also SullyBop.com. That's SullyBop.com. Got everything on there. SullyBop for all the socials.
That's all for today, Dharma Unfiltered family. We'll be back. I'm not sure when, but we'll be back eventually with the next episode of Dharma Unfiltered. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Reed Kastner-lang. That's Reed with 2 E's. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on Clubhouse. Just find me somewhere. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you,
Peace.
Reed. See ya.
Deuces.